Why do you have a hard time making decisions? In the past, I used to spend days trying to pick between two things. I'd be like, well, this one's got this and this one's got that. And it would just eat away at me. And it took so long. And sometimes I would miss opportunities as a result of not making decisions. I used to struggle so much with picking and committing to making decisions. So if you feel this way, I can empathize. And that is why in this video, I plan to show you my 3-step framework to help you make a decision. And we're gonna go through some fear related to it. We're gonna go through maybe some mental battles you're having. And then we're also gonna talk about the 2 C's, which are necessary to make a decision and really own it. With that being said, my name is Chris Richardson. I'm a coach here at Life in Your Terms, and I make these videos to hopefully pass on my knowledge, pass on my experience, so you can move through these things quicker than I ever could. So the first reason why you probably can't make decisions is because you have a sense of fear around making choices or making the wrong choice. Now we can see this in perfectionism. And I used to be the worst perfectionist. I promise you that if I got a 99 on a test and I didn't get 100, I was only mad about the 1% that I missed. So with perfectionism and decision making, what would happen to me at least is that I'd have 2 decisions and I want to make sure I made the perfect choice. If I looked back and I didn't analyze everything and make sure I made the perfect choice, I'd be so upset at myself. So it resulted in me having a hard time making decisions because I always wanted the perfect one. And maybe you can relate to that. Maybe you're looking at 2 jobs. Maybe you're looking at your relationship. Maybe you're looking at your health and you're realizing you need to make a decision around that. And you're just sitting in analysis paralysis because you want to make the perfect decision. What I have to say to you is that you'll never be able to make the perfect decision, and each decision could be seen as perfect. Maybe you're choosing between 2 jobs. One job you go to, it's terrible there, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm mad at myself because the other job would have been better. But being at the job taught you so much, so maybe it's the perfect choice to make sure that your next job you pick is the best job. You have to look at those things in a different light, that you made the wrong choice. So what you have to tell yourself is that I may not make the perfect choice, but I'm gonna make the best choice with the information possible. And later we're gonna get into the 2 C's and how you can do that. Now, on top of perfectionism related to fear of decision making, you may be overthinking the consequences. We'll go back to that job example, where maybe you pick a job and you end up in a job environment you hate, it doesn't pay you well, and you don't like your coworkers or whatever. Well, you may think that's the end of the world, but realistically, it's as simple as leaving the job and going to a new one, just like you did to go to this one. So don't overthink the consequences. If you're thinking about 2 different options and you can't find yourself not being able to make a decision, just think about the consequences and be like, okay, what would that entail? But also, how easy would it be to change my situation again? Because no decisions are truly final. As humans, we do hate change, but no decisions are truly final, so don't worry about overthinking the consequences. On top of overthinking the consequences in perfectionism, you may also feel a sense of social pressure. You have a fear of how others will see you if you make this decision. And I can empathize with this point as well. When I started my Instagram, when I started this YouTube channel, or started making videos on this YouTube channel, I had a little bit of fear about what my peers would see me as, if they saw these videos as bad or not helpful. And then I realized it doesn't matter. And a good hack you can use is, if you're feeling the social pressure and it's causing you fear of making this decision, think to yourself, will it matter in 5 years what they think? And I guarantee the answer is no. And you know what? You can extend that horizon even longer to 10,000 years, because we all die. We all die, and then their opinions have no bearing on you. And one of the best quotes I've heard is that in your 20s, you're so worried about what people are thinking about you. In your 40s, you don't care what they think about you. In your 60s, you realize they were never thinking about you at all. And the second piece to why you can't make decisions is that you have a lack of confidence and self-doubt. And it's totally okay, because again, I can empathize with that. In the past, I had no confidence and I had so much self-doubt with any decision I make, and I was just stuck. I was just stuck looking at these two decisions, not thinking I would be okay. Because the way I see confidence is knowing you will be okay no matter what. So if you have a lack of confidence, you don't know if you'll be okay, so that causes a fear of making a decision, and then you're not able to make a decision and roll with it. So maybe that comes with low self-esteem. And I know this is outside the scope of the video, so I'm not going to get into that. But if you have low self-esteem, you have to ask yourself, where is that at? And if you're struggling to identify it, I'd encourage you to take the balance wheel in the description below, because there it can kind of highlight your life in 12 subcategories. And then you can look at, oh, you know what? Maybe my low self-esteem is coming from this. I need to improve that. That could be a helpful way. I'd encourage you to take it at the end of the video though. So when you have that self-doubt and low self-esteem, you're going to look for others' opinions. That relates to the last point of then that causes the fear of making the decisions. So with the low self-esteem, that can make it hard to make a decision. Now, on top of low self-esteem, within lack of confidence and self-doubt, you may have a lack of being able to accept the consequences and commit. Again, I'll rely back to the job, is that you may not be able to accept that you ended up in a job and you made the wrong choice and own that. It does take a degree of ownership and responsibility taking that, you know what, I made the wrong choice. And some people don't want to deal with that, and I totally understand that. But if you want to be able to make decisions, you're going to have to be able to accept the consequences and commit to the decision that you made. Now, on top of that, another thing within lack of confidence and self-doubt that could be making it hard for you to make decisions is that you have unclear personal values. You have no true north or guiding light on what should I do next? Is this in line with my long-term vision? And the way you can do this and develop your personal values is just simply asking yourself, what does amazing look like? And you do that within the areas of the balance wheel. So you take the balance wheel and you go around each area and you ask yourself, what does amazing look like in this area? And then once you develop and craft that vision of what amazing looks like, then you have a true north. Then you know, okay, this decision does not align with my true north, not gonna make it. Or I'm not gonna choose that choice. I'm gonna choose this one. Or, oh, this decision is perfectly in line with my values. This job's in line with my values. I'm gonna go on that path because that's to my true north, and that's what amazing looks like to me. The third and final piece is those two C's that I was talking about, which is clarity and commitment. To make a very sound decision in my life, and I believe in yours too, you need clarity and you need commitment. Clarity means you need to gather all the information that you need, not to rely and stick in analysis paralysis, but gather all the necessary information just to make a decision. So with clarity, maybe you have too many options. So with the jobs, maybe you don't have 2 potential jobs you can go do, maybe you have 50 potential jobs. And then you have to start creating classifications to be able to cut those options, because if you don't, you're probably feeling some anxiety. When you have too many options, when you have too much information, that creates anxiety. And with anxiety, it's too many perceived options. So the solution to that is to start cutting. So when you have a bunch of decisions to make, is to start cutting. Yes, no, just start cutting. Just make decisions and own them. And that's where commitment comes in. So you have clarity and then commitment. Commitment is being able to roll with your decision. Just accept, you know what, I made this choice. I'm going to accept that I made this choice and I will fix it if need be, but I'm just going to roll because I know I feel better when I just make decisions. At least I know I do. When I start making decisions, I'm like, yep, I'm going to go to that. Nope, not going to do that. And I just start cutting. It's much easier. In the past, I would leave my inbox full in my text messages or my Snapchat because I was so worried about texting people back and making decisions related to that stuff. And I know that sounds silly, but now that I've gotten over that and just start cut and just be able to, yes, I'm going to go to that, or no, I'm not going to go to that. It's made my life so much easier. And that's the clarity piece that I've needed and the commitment piece I've needed as well. Now, on top of the 2 C's in making decisions, maybe you're struggling because it's a complex situation. So clarity is kind of muddied or whatever. I don't even know if that's a word. But when it's too complex, what you need to do is you need to rely on your values and rely on the long term. So rely on the true north that you created earlier in this video. And then also rely on, okay, long term versus short term, how is this going to benefit me? Is this the best choice for me long term? If you look at it within that lens, that can be really helpful with those complex decisions. And then also realize you may not all have all the information you need with those complex decisions. And that's where the commit piece is in these 2 C's, is you're just gonna have to commit and roll with it. So that's why you have a hard time making decisions. And it's, really based upon why I had a hard time making decisions. With that being said, if you like that video, please like, subscribe, and most importantly, comment, because I really know then what was helpful, number one, and I also know to make more of these videos. On top of that, if you enjoyed this video, I would encourage you to take the balance wheel, because this is critical as you go through this process to help you make those decisions.